Welcome to Everyday English Stories. Today's story is called The New Neighbor. Sit back, listen and relax. After the story, we will learn 6 useful words. Let's begin. On a bright Saturday morning, a moving truck rumbled to a stop outside the house next door. Nina, still in her pajamas, peered through the curtains to see what all the commotion was about. Cardboard boxes were piling up on the pavement, and a young man was wrestling a sofa through the front gate. "Looks like we've finally got a new neighbor," she called out to her mother. "In that case, we ought to give them a proper welcome," her mother replied without hesitation. Within minutes, the two of them had decided to bake a cake from scratch. Nina whisked the eggs while her mother zested a fresh lemon, filling the kitchen with a bright, citrusy aroma. Baking together had always been their way of turning an ordinary morning into something special. Once the cake had cooled, they placed it on their nicest plate and headed next door. Nina hesitated for a moment, then plucked up the courage to knock. The door swung open to reveal a young man who looked thoroughly worn out. "Hi, I'm Leo," he said, wiping his hands on his jeans. "I only arrived an hour ago." "Welcome to the street," Nina said. "We thought you could use something sweet after all that lifting." Leo was clearly taken aback by the gesture. "Honestly, that's incredibly thoughtful of you." He waved them inside, apologizing for the maze of half-unpacked boxes. "Don't worry about the mess," Nina's mother said. "We've all been there." They perched on stools around the kitchen counter and dug into the cake. Leo confessed that he had moved to the city on his own, chasing a new job opportunity. "I didn't know a soul here until about 10 minutes ago," he said with a wry smile. "Well, consider us your first friends," Nina replied. She rattled off her favorite spots, the cozy cafe on the corner and the leafy park just around the block. As the conversation flowed, the tension in Leo's shoulders gradually melted away. "I'd been dreading this move," he admitted, "but you've completely turned my day around." By the time they said their goodbyes, they had already arranged to grab coffee that weekend. Walking back home, Nina felt a warm glow of satisfaction. It struck her how little it took to make someone feel at home. A homemade cake and a friendly knock had bridged the gap between strangers. Sometimes, she thought, kindness really is the shortest route to friendship. Now let's learn 6 words from the story. Commotion. A lot of noise and busy activity. For example, she peered out to see what the commotion was about. To pluck up the courage. To force yourself to be brave enough to do something. For example, she plucked up the courage to knock. Taken aback. Surprised, often pleasantly. For example, Leo was clearly taken aback by the gesture. To confess. To admit something honestly. For example, Leo confessed that he had moved on his own. To dread. To feel very worried about something coming. For example, "I had been dreading this move." To turn someone's day around. To change a bad day into a good one. For example, "You've completely turned my day around." That's the end of today's story. Try to listen again without reading, and see how much you understand. New episodes every day, so please subscribe. See you tomorrow.